And good day, everyone. Richard Cowperthwait for Northwest Access TV. Thanks for joining us for another show. Happy to have alongside today Joel Clark, the Swanton Select Board Chairman, and Brian Savage. Brian, I think I've tried to promote you to town manager a few times, but Brian, the Swanton Town Administrator.
That's right.
Anyway, good to see you, folks. Boy, winter,
Good
I
to
should
be
note. We're taping this show on Monday, December 8th. Just noted when I looked at today's history book, we lost John Lennon 45 years ago today.
Oh.
And of course, yesterday, the 84th anniversary of Pearl Harbor Day.
Yes.
Anyway, but December 8th, boy, winter has set in. Seems like a little earlier than usual in recent years. Pretty good hit of winter out there.
Absolutely.
It sure is.
So you have a horse. You said your horse survives this okay, huh?
Yes, he does.
Really?
It's amazing how they can handle the colder weather. With some of his age and ailments, we now blanket him, but
Is that right?
for a while he would do just fine in weather like
Really?
that. Yeah.
Wow. So plowing, boy, I guess public works crews have been doing some work already, huh?
Oh, absolutely.
I picked up, I shoveled another
Veterans
3
Day
inches this
even,
morning.
they were out there, and
Yeah.
then this morning around 5 o'clock, I heard them go by. They're
Yeah.
well prepared, all the vehicles are up and running, sand shed is full, and we have all our salt that we need to get through the year, but
Yeah.
they're already off to a busy start compared to some of the previous years.
It's a pretty nippy this morning down on the lake, I guess, huh?
Very nippy, with the wind chill
when
was
you
like
have
about
wind.
-10.
Wind is everything, I bet. Brings me back to my long ago winters out on Lakewood Drive in the house that Kevin and Terry O'Shea still live in for many years. They bought it from my landlords, the Whistles, long ago, but yeah, I'm sure I've mentioned this a bunch of times on these airways, but I would, cover a meeting back in my full-time reporting days, probably in St. Albans for a night meeting in winter, and come back and couldn't even see the driveway because the snow had just blown in and drifted. So yeah, I know what you're dealing with, but that was a while ago for myself.
Yes.
Boy, a lot of issues for you folks. I guess we could start with the rec department situation. It just sounds like you've been kind of wrestling with expanding or trying to get a new rec department building for a long time, Joel, and that's kind of back on the agenda. Maybe it's never left the agenda.
Well, in my mind, it's never left the agenda. It certainly slowed down for a while. We knew there was no way with the large facility that the village was looking to get a vote on, that the two would go out and be successful. So it got quiet for a while. It is
Yeah.
back on the agenda and discussion, and right now, we'd call it a scoping study, just to take a look at the size of the facility that they want and get us a scope and estimate, so then we can make some decisions on whether or not to go forward. It's certainly something I've been very interested in years to see. They need
Yeah.
additional space. They have a lot of people there during the summer.
Yeah.
A place to get inside, out of the elements in the summer, and then another court, really another basketball court, volleyball court is needed. The schools' courts are available to a certain extent, but not as much as we feel is needed.
So I would guess there are not too many people who question the need for that. Obviously, it comes down to money. In fact, I heard a caller on WVMT last week before I think I had read the Messenger story, and just saying, you can't believe what Swanton's talking about, $4 million for a rec building and stuff. So it obviously gets down to money, but I'd like to think there are not too many people questioning the need. It sounds like the rec department, Nicole Draper, of course, your fellow select board member. It sounds like it's been a very good program with a lot of participation in it, but you just really need some more room for it.
Absolutely, and until we get the scope and number, I think 4 million's high, but probably in the range of 2 to 3 million when it's
Yeah.
all said and done. But it's something that is doable if we take a look, if we commit to it. There are other funding sources available, and probably some other things we'll talk about here later that would be possible funding sources as well. So
Yeah.
it's a question of getting the community, I think, to rally behind it and make it happen.
Yeah, so a scoping study, Brian, there hasn't been a study like that? It seems like there have been studies, haven't there? But
Well, we had a feasibility study done. We hired an outside consultant to see if it financially, the original plan was for a rec community center to be able to sustain itself by being a venue for a variety of events that may be hosted in other facilities throughout the area.
Yeah.
That sort of facility would be with a higher price tag, but there was the feasibility study was done and said that, yes, in fact, after, I think it was 3 years, it would start paying for itself.
Yeah.
But then things got kind of pushed to the back burner a bit, and so now what we're looking at would be certainly a different size facility to serve the basic needs. And so that's being approached from a different angle, but obviously, what is being done now, and with the need is there, and they're totally out of room, and they have a lot of kids, especially during the summer,
Yeah.
in their programs that they need a place to go in the event of inclement weather and things of that nature. So, yeah, so.
So does winter make things tougher with, I mean, just cold weather? Is it just a lot tougher for rec department to do its thing in winter, or?
Well, again, there's a couple of issues, and one of them is the summer events that we talked about, and you're
Yeah.
talking 30, 40 kids running around. But the winter, courts, it's actually court
courts,
space.
yeah.
There's a need for additional court space, and the feasibility study showed that that was the case as well. So it would be a win-win by having a large facility that was, and basically it's 80 by 125 is what they're looking at for the size of a facility.
Yeah.
So actually year-round, the court could be used for different things, and then in the summer, when if we get inclement weather, you can get all the kids inside in a safe area. It's a big concern of ours, and something that should be addressed, but the community, I think, would have no problem utilizing that space and making it better for the recreational opportunities in Swanton.
And it sounds like a lot of kids, sounds like the participation in the programs is great.
Oh, yeah, it definitely is. Nicole does, and her team down there, they do a great job in providing activities for the kids and different sports, yes.
Well, I might get a little sense of it. I've been skating most Sundays at the Highgate Arena,
Yeah.
and I was there yesterday, and I'm blown away. Collins Purley, depending on the BFA kids' situation, has a lot of public skating. I usually have that literally to myself. I mean, the scene Sundays at the Highgate Arena, and I was there yesterday, is unreal. I'm tempted to say maybe 100 and tons of kids, but it's quite the scene up there.
Yeah, it's great.
So, no, there's, sounds like recreation programs do very well. So have you got some time frame with the coping study?
We hope to have something early in 2026.
Yeah.
Again, to me, that estimate is gonna be plus or minus 25%, but at least
Yeah.
it gives you a number to commit to and start moving forward. Then you would start design and really getting into the nitty-gritty. But yeah, we hope to have something going, some information anyway, in early 2026.
And it sounds like ideally, I mean, I remember this conversation with some of you folks years ago, and, I mean, there was talk about a bond issue, then the thinking was, no, yeah, and you mentioned the Swanton, the big Swanton project that was initially defeated. But aside from the bond issue, that brings to mind the LOT, the local option tax, which I guess is getting some serious talk, and that might be a way, if that gets put in, might be a way to fund this.
It certainly would be one possible source. The local option tax is something we've been talking about, and we've had a public hearing regarding it, and some very positive comments at the public hearing of why it makes sense to do it.
Yeah.
But the select board is committed to capital improvements, capital projects for that money.
Yeah.
So this, a rec facility would be a candidate. Certainly won't want to commit all the money to the rec facility, want to seek other sources, but
Yeah.
it certainly could be one piece of the puzzle to get them a facility.
Yeah. Brian, LOT would bring in roughly how much money? Have you got a
Well,
handle on that? And of course, the village obviously gets some of
Right.
this. About a third of it or so? Is that
Well,
the-
actually, probably about 25%, give or take.
About a
We,
quarter.
First of all, the numbers that we have used was date back from 2024, and it would show then approximately $420,000 based on retail sales in the town of Swanton.
Yeah.
That includes your mail order. It did not include rooms, meals, and alcohol, and the intent of the board is to put it on everything. Of the total amount raised, now the state, initially when we started talking about this, would keep 33%.
Are they
as
down to
handling it now.
30%
They're
now?
down to 25%.
25%.
Now, the town-village split, the town and the village for years have funded the fire department on a formula based upon the grand list, and both bodies are comfortable keeping that formula for the split with the local option taxes.
Yeah.
So that works out to roughly 76, 24%. So 24% of the take would go to the village,
Yeah.
and the town would keep the remainder. And that's based on the total grand list and the grand list share between the town and the village. Now, some projects, such as the rec center, that would certainly fit into capital improvement. I mean, it's desperately needed, but we're also looking at, anything that, obviously, the village has got a bridge that needs some serious work and other improvements to the downtown area.
Yeah.
We've got a number of culverts that have got a problem, one big one in particular. So there's plenty of places to spend the money. And in
Sounds
this
like it.
business, it all comes down to dollars and cents. I mean, and so we're hoping that to get the voter approval for that and be on the ballot in March town meeting, and hopefully it'll get approved, and then we'll start collecting it. It has to be a 90-day period for the state to get everybody all set to go, and there will be another public meeting, I'm sure, about it, and what the ramifications are. But it works out to a few cents, up to a few dollars, but nothing serious. And we go to other communities, all the communities in the area, St. Albans City, St. Albans Town have it. I know Highgate does not have it, but they were exploring it. I'm not sure what the
Oh,
status
really?
there is. And then, of course, Chittenden County is quite extensive down there.
I guess Montgomery has it too, and are they looking maybe to go the other way? It seems like I saw
Well,
one story, or you
They
probably-
they initially put it in to fund their sewer system.
Right.
And I'm not sure now if that's, I haven't been following that, but they were looking at if that's been taken care of, or they get rid of it. I'm not sure what's going on there.
Yeah.
But it's a way for towns to raise revenue without affecting the property tax, and it's also something that everyone pays. If they come into town from out of town, you're paying it. And we also, we're in a good position. There was some concern about, what about traffic coming from, from New York State? Well, they pay more in sales tax than we do to begin with.
Yeah.
And then, of course, north of the border, they pay very close to 15% in total sales taxes. So
Yeah.
it's still a bargain there too. So, but we'll have further public meetings about it, and I'm sure further questions. And anybody got any questions about it, we'd be happy to answer.
But it looks like that's solid for a town meeting. That'll be on the ballot town meeting day, or is that the likelihood now? or-
I think the select board is 100% behind it,
So
so
I was gonna ask you that.
expect it to be on the,
Yeah.
on the March ballot. One thing, the town and the village could actually each go for 1%. And part of what I talked about before we got on here was the cooperation with the village.
Yeah.
And with the trustees and the select board, we've come to an agreement to just go for it for the town, and then we would share through a memorandum of agreement, a according to the grand list. So it's a good example of cooperation and working together.
Interesting. Yeah, well, St. Albans Town comes right to mind, which you folks know. I mean, they've done very well. I mean, just
Right.
giving folks a break on property taxes, paying for the still pretty new town hall, public works garage and stuff. So they seem to be very, very happy with it. The state, of course, I think would love every town in the state to jump into one of these and get their take. But anyway, well, that sounds like a big issue. So that's likely to be the issue in March. And there
Yes.
had been concern about the village-town situation with that, but was that worked out? It seemed like.
Well, this is one way we're working it out,
Yeah.
the prospect of.
If you kind of go into it together and you give the village
Right.
the roughly quarter of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the village is on board with it.
Right.
There's been
Yeah.
two
Right.
separate meetings with them,
Right.
and
Yeah.
they were 100% on board.
It will be collected by the town, or the state will remit to the town.
Yeah.
And then the town will pay to the village on whatever schedule, the grand list, but
Right.
then the town treasurer would issue a check to the village for that percentage.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, it sounds like village-town relations, St. Albans City and St. Albans Town, as folks who've been around here forever, well aware of the issues they had for a while, would seemingly got, pretty much settled with their agreement on the ever thorny wastewater
Right.
issue. But it sounds like Swanton Village and Town sounds like you folks do pretty well relationship-wise. Again, I've been told before, I'm the only person who ever asked you guys about merger. Does anybody ask you about that, or is that just me?
We don't talk too much about the M word. We do
Yeah.
talk about One
I
Swanton.
hear
but-
one Swanton.
But One Swanton still is a village in a town.
Yeah.
We have not taken a good, solid look at that for many, many years, and
Yeah.
at this stage, I don't see that happening there. There would be some benefits, but I think we talked about it before on air, and it gets into whose taxes are going up and whose taxes may go down, and that becomes almost a non-starter from the beginning, so that.
And it sounds like the village folks would take the hit on this. It'd be kind of tax-wise good for the town, not good for the village. Is that fair to say, or not necessarily?
Originally, when it was being studied, it was the other way around. Good
is
for the
that right?
village and not so good for the
No,
town.
Right.
so I had that wrong.
Yeah, but, times change and whatnot. The other aspect too, though they're revenue bonds at the time, and the village being in the business of utilities, have revenue bonds into many millions of dollars. And of course, if that was the merger to take place, those bonds would be assumed by the remaining entity, which would then be the town taxpayers as well as the village taxpayers. Revenue bonds are treated differently than general obligation bonds, but nonetheless, could be, some people would be hesitant taking on that debt, so.
And then you add to you take a look at the police right now.
Right. Yeah.
The town would be assuming more of the cost of the
Right.
police, so that would increase the taxes as well, so.
No, I definitely had that
It
the
would,
wrong
it
way.
would take a real in-depth study, but again, in this sensitive world of taxes and don't see it happening, and there's no real discussion other than you asking us every now and then.
And there's still, people think that, a duplication of service, but really there isn't. It would still be the same number of miles of streets, roads, and sidewalks to take care of, and the types of equipment. Our trucks in the highway department for the town are set up to plow town highways in wide open spaces. The village trucks are meant for streets, and they're more adapted to that, so you still need the same number of vehicles, the same type of vehicles.
Yeah.
So, there would be very little, I think, reduction in the number of employees, maybe one, at the most. But that's, because they have a big operation due to the utilities, and they want to keep the utilities, obviously, and it still takes those number of people.
I know Bill Sheets, for a number of years, the Swanton village manager, was very happy to report Swanton, he was saying for quite a while there, had the only fully staffed police department in the state. And I know that changed a while back.
Yeah.
Is Swanton PD still down position or two, do you know,
Yes,
Joel?
they are, and
Is that
it's very
affecting-
frustrating.
Affecting coverage?
it's not affecting coverage, but it's certainly tougher on their force and the
Sure.
number of hours they have to work and the
Sure.
shifts that they're working. Yeah, and right now, I think they have one candidate that possibly to fill the position, but, and you can ask them tomorrow on where they're at with it, but
Yeah, well-
it's been quite a while here, and it's frustrating as can be that statewide, there's such a shortage
sure.
of people wanting to do it.
I think St. Albans City, actually, last time I asked the mayor, I think St. Albans City was fully staffed or pretty close to it, but yeah, that's probably the exception. Probably just about every department in the state is in the same, and state police are
They're
down.
still
geez,
down,
Who
yeah.
knows how many troopers statewide. Yeah, tough situation. But coverage, you reasonably content with the work of Swanton Village PD in the town?
I certainly am. You'll have residents complain that, they don't see them out on the roads, but when you look at things like the recent press release of the drug bust, the amount of paperwork and time that
Yeah.
goes into preparing for something like that, and then to execute the warrants and so on. And we have 50-something miles of roads, so when you take a look at how many miles of roads, you're not gonna just be doing traffic control. So that's one thing that, you try to, when someone makes a complaint, well, I never see them on my road. If we think there's an issue, then we will ask the police to do additional coverage on the roads, and they will do that. But you're not gonna see them every day just hanging around your road because it's 50-something miles, and then when you get into the evening, you're not gonna be looking out and seeing the cars go by. But from my perspective, and I think for most of the board members' perspective, we are content with the coverage that we have, and the police department's response to different things that we talk with them about. So, yeah.
Yeah. And state police are around. I mean, state police do give the town, I assume, some attention, at least when need be.
Yes, they certainly have a duty to respond in the hours that we don't have the coverage. The question is, where are they in Franklin County when the call goes in? Because, again, they don't have a large number. I think it's only one, isn't it, that is on duty?
I'm not sure,
But it's-
really,
it-
but,
It's one or two, and so whatever they're doing at the time, and then, it gets handled on a priority basis, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
How are you doing with the fire department in terms of personnel? Are you getting enough volunteers for?
well,
the fire
again,
depart-
that's
Or is that civilian?
that's a question for the village.
Question for the village,
Definitely their number of people, I believe, on their roster is down, but
Yeah.
it's difficult. And that's, we're in an age, I don't care what the organization is, people do not want to volunteer.
Yeah.
They're too busy to volunteer. Between family and work obligations, they're too busy to volunteer. So, yeah, but so far, I mean, they're providing the coverage and getting the job done, so that's, they're a good group and can be counted on, so we'll just, but they can probably answer that question too.
Sure.
I don't have exact numbers, but, yeah.
Joel, who's up on the select board at March town meeting? Couple positions on the select board up, or
Yes, Steve and Nicole are the two positions that
Steve
are up.
Bourgeois and Nicole Draper?
Yes.
Have they indicated, are they looking to run again, do you know?
The other day, Nicole told me she was picking up an application,
Yeah,
so.
she's got one out, yeah.
And I
That's
know
a one-year
Steve.
term, because she was just reelected earlier this year, was she not? No, was
No,
I,
it was-
am I
that
off a
was
year?
2 years
Yeah.
ago, 2
Yeah.
years
Off
ago.
a year? Okay. Sorry.
That's all right. So, and Steve, I'm pretty certain is gonna run as well.
Yeah,
Discussions with him previously, it sounded like he was intending to, but haven't heard formally.
hearing about
Since he's-
any other names, any other folks who might jump in?
Nothing
It's a
I've
little-
heard of.
Nothing
A
that I
little
hear
early,
of.
well, not that early. but a
No, it's
little
not that early, and I've mentioned it a couple times,
Yeah.
if folks are interested,
Yeah.
get your name in, and the more the merrier, as far as I'm concerned. Let the people have a choice, and that's, to me, the best way to operate.
Yeah, obviously budget work for what fiscal 2027 budget is well underway.
Well, it's
26.
26. We have
26,
calendar
so
year,
isn't-
Isn't-
26.
we-
the-
we
you
do
guys
calendar-
count- oh,
calendar year, yeah.
Calendar.
Yeah,
I never keep that
2026,
straight. Sorry.
Budget is underway. So far, we've just received the library's budget. Our next meeting, we expect to have several more budgets to look at.
Yeah,
The intent is to stay 3% or less as far as an increase. I think we'll be able to do that. We, the rec department is indicated they should be good with that. I know on highway, we're gonna be able to do that. And then general fund is still taking a look at the numbers, but that's our goal, is 3% or less.
yeah. So nothing out of the ordinary. I mean, the local option tax would be a biggie, but no other kind of out of the ordinary issues coming up at March town meeting that come to mind?
No,
Yeah.
no.
Pretty stable, how many employees for the town of Swanton these days?
Right around a dozen.
Right.
Doesn't
Yeah.
it? And pretty stable, have you done pretty well? I mean, that hasn't been too much changes with your?
Not much turnover,
We've
very
had
stable.
Very, very
Yeah.
good turnover rate of actually basically zero.
Yeah, we
So
haven't
it's, been
hired for a
been
while.
very good, and we're very pleased. We have a good group, and we get the job done.
You did some paving this past summer, Joel, I assume?
We did a large amount of paving. We budget out 450,000.
Really?
And we put in for a state grant, and we got another about $190,000 worth of paving we did. And then very large project we had was Swanton Hill Road, very remote part of Swanton.
Well, you talked about that. Sounds like a
We had a
really
very-
tough place to deal with.
Well, it's a
right?
very dangerous road. There's only 3 residents on the end of it. But
Really?
we have flipped plow trucks several times on that road. So we finally had 9 feet of ledge in the deepest area removed, and made that road much safer. And that was another $80,000 of paving there as well. So we did around $700,000 worth of paving, which is way above our normal. But our roads are in great shape, and next year we'll probably do quite a bit less paving, but we have a very large public works project in that same remote area. We have a culvert
Really?
that's about 7-8 feet in diameter, that the bottom of it is completely rotted, and in order to meet the requirements of the DEC, we have to put a 35-foot wide culvert there,
Wow.
box culvert. And
Really?
that's gonna be $600,000 to $700,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But that road's very important. It connects us with Fairfield and emergency response up there. If we don't maintain that road, it would be a lot longer to get up there and take care of our residents.
And French Hill, St. Albans Town is close, that's close to that area too, or?
It connects
there.
right with it,
Connects
yes.
with it.
Yeah, it sounds like St. Albans Town folks are, again, wrestling with French Hill. They've been, always seems to be having some work needed to do on French Hill Run.
Yeah, that, as far as the roads up in that area, we're in real good shape
Yeah.
now after this project is completed.
Boy, paving, I think some folks have just mentioned how much paving costs these days, but those expenses, that's gotten much more expensive, like maybe just about anything else, but paving roads, or have you not run into that so much?
Hasn't been too bad the last couple of years.
Yeah.
The price of oil really has a big part in it,
Huh.
and that being reasonably stable,
Yeah.
the prices haven't increased a lot in the last
Yeah.
couple of years. Yeah.
The Siskiyou Valley Rescue's been much in the news recently, covering Swanton Village Town and Highgate with some concerns about the rescue service, and you're looking into that. Is there a meeting that you're hoping to have with state folks about that, Joel?
We've met with the state folks,
Yeah.
and we've met with the Highgate and the village. And we have sent a letter to MVR, requesting a meeting with MVR. A couple
Yeah.
of things I'd like to say is, one, we have a long tradition of working with MVR,
Yeah.
and we want to continue that tradition and
Yeah.
see it succeed. We also want to make sure the residents of Swanton get the best ambulance service. So the accusations that are out there are very serious, and we need to look into it and make sure that it's being addressed.
And again, concerns by some of the staff members or former staff members have made some allegations, whatever. Is that kind of the biggest? Are you getting any concern about patient care at this point, or not? Any concerns about patients who feel like they weren't dealt with as well as they should have been?
As far as I know, we haven't got
No,
any specific
nothing.
complaint from a patient. As a matter of fact, a lot of people in the community that I've talked with are very happy
Really?
with the patient care that they get. Again, MVR's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of relationships with the people that have had to have regular transport by MVR. And again, people tell me, you know, they're very happy with the service that they have.
Yeah.
So we have some complaints that sound very serious, and we as the town can't get into the details of managing, you know, how MVR's operations take place, but we have to let them know we're concerned and listen, or hear from them, their side of the story. And the state, with their inspections and stuff, they found a few things with the number of items on the ambulance and so on that might be out of date and so on, but nothing that raised a big red flag as far as that goes, so.
Yeah.
We need to have some discussions and see where we go from there.
When I saw, and Dan and Lynn, Dan and his wife Lynn Billadu, the folks who operate this basically, and when I saw Dan's picture, I said, I recognize that guy, of course, a former longtime selectman.
Yes,
But again, just reading the Messenger story again this morning, they've been, I guess they strongly denied any problems. But anyway, so you hope at least to have a meeting. Does that sound like that will happen, or is that,
we have sent a letter and we have said we would like a meeting within 2 weeks.
did you get a
We
response?
have not.
We have not got a
No
response
response
yet.
yet.
But
Boy, if you don't get a response, if they don't meet with you, what would your next step, what would you do in that case, or hard to say?
We wouldn't want to say at this time.
Yeah.
Again,
So you hope
we
to have this meeting?
expect to hear back.
Yeah.
And the first thing we want to do is have a meeting.
Yeah,
And if they don't want to meet, then the board will get together again and decide what our next step is.
yeah. Lake Champlain water quality issues, is that getting much attention? Seems like I don't hear as much about. Kind of the big thing with the lake was just the low lake level over the summer. It's come back up some, still probably lower than average, but water quality issues, Joel, does that get on your radar at all, or not so much
Not-
these days?
There's not too much, a little bit of discussion, but nothing significant, not a lot of residents coming to us. Again, we are very limited in what we could even do, but, no, we met with the Friends of Lake Champlain and got some information on them, from them, and then there are a few areas that, we've talked to them about, but overall, not very high on the radar.
Yeah. Brian, back in your legislative days, I mean, that was a big issue. You certainly spent a fair amount of time on that in your legislative years. Did you know? Wasn't that a pretty big issue?
yes. Spent a great amount of it, especially when it came to stormwater management, and which we're dealing with
Thank you. That
on a
was on
fairly
that was on mine, 'cause
normal,
St.
regular
Albans Town
basis.
has like a couple dozen stormwater projects.
Right.
You have X number as well?
Because they were in a different classification.
Okay.
They in the city were MS4, I want to say MS4, I'm not sure if that's the correct
Yeah, that might be right.
classification.
Yeah.
Swanton Town and Village kind of escaped that, so we were fortunate. I know the town of St. Albans has the stormwater utility fee, it's $50, because my son lives and
That's
owns a
just St.
home.
Albans City. I pay that in the
Yeah.
city, but yeah, the
And,
town has that too.
Yeah, and my son lives in, has a home in St. Albans Town, and he pays it.
Yeah.
We do not have to do
$50
that.
a year, I think, is
Right,
what they
yeah.
charge.
So we have some developments that are, have stormwater permits in place or working on, or any future development will also have stormwater permits.
Yeah.
And the town, by state law, becomes a co-permittee on those. So, we have to be aware of it and make sure everything is going well, but that for the most part, the developments will fall to the homeowners association. So we, as long as they keep in compliance, we should be okay, but it still can be somewhat of a headache. I had mentioned when I was in the legislature, go back, I voted for the legislation, but I advised my caucus, what concerns me is not so much the legislation, it's the rule-making authority given to the commissioner, that they're gonna make the rules very hard to follow, and that's the problem with most legislation, the rule-making authority. And when
And
you
did
have.
that happen in your view? Is that?
Oh,
that's what
yes, it
happened
has
with that?
definitely happened. You have bureaucrats making these rules that basically aren't answerable to anybody. And then that's the rule of the law, so you gotta follow it. So, yeah, so we'll see. I know some of it being contested in court elsewhere in the state, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Interesting. I had an earlier show with Swanton folks, just trying, efforts to try to promote Swanton more. And if you got a new website, sounds like folks are pretty excited about it, just trying to make it easier to kind of promote Swanton better, Joel?
Yes, a lot of effort in that area, and it's a village town working together with some local business people as well. Brandon, it's part of what they call it, getting a brand for Swanton. We've got some new signs. The website, they've done a lot of work on the website and are continuing to improve the website so that people can go there and find out what is going on, when it's happening. So big push to market more of what's going on in Swanton. The Lamoille Valley Rail Trail parking area is now complete. So that's something we want to make sure to market and
Is there a
let
key,
people-
so the parking area is complete now?
Yes.
You're
Everything.
going to do like a little pavilion or something?
There's a
all.
pavilion, some very nice picnic tables, a bike repair station.
Great.
During the warmer weather, there'll be a portalette there. It's a paved parking area. It's big enough, a pickup with a snowmobile trailer can pull in there in the winter
great.
months and access the trail. And it's an area that is lit as well. It came out very, very nice. Now we just need to market it. It was very interesting. I ran into somebody who was up from West Virginia.
Really?
Just to ride down the Vermont trails, and
All right.
yeah. So the more we can market it, the better for Swanton.
So did you notice Swanton getting some more traffic from that, especially over the summer?
Unfortunately, the parking area did not get completed till into the September timeframe.
Yeah.
So we haven't seen a big increase. I have seen more of our own residents parking in there instead of down at the rail station or other locations and using it, but haven't seen a big push of outside folks coming in yet. And what we really need to market is, if you're going east to west, we are the last stop on the rail trail, or vice versa, we're the first place to be, and market it more.
Of course, the governor was going to come up with a couple of years
Right.
ago to kind of kick this off, only to run into the flooding situation.
And then,
I guess he
again-
didn't get him, he didn't come back
No.
for that, I guess.
Right,
huh?
but so we want to do some sort of kickoff in the
Sure.
spring.
Yes.
And then, of course, just recently, as a result of this past year's flooding
Yeah.
on the east end, so there was sections of the trail again that were closed, but it just recently
I
has
saw they
been.
reopened at least
It's been
some of them.
reopened, it's been reopened all the way now from St. John's Berry to Swanton. Unfortunately, it's late in the season, but certainly for the snowmobilers, it's there, so, yeah.
And snowmobilers have been vast, Vermont Association of Snow Travelers, they've been a key part of the rail trails, funding
Right.
them, maintaining
Yes.
them.
Yes.
I mean, no, I don't think if you're cross-country skiing or walking, I mean, usually you can hear snowmobiles, but the snowmobile, that's just been a key part of getting these rail trails going, I
Right.
believe.
Yes.
Anyways, that sounds like some future good news for Swanton. Hopefully you'll see some more traffic in the future for LVRT.
I think we will, because I get a number of inquiries
Yeah.
as well about it. So that emails and whatnot. So, yeah, it's, I think we'll see a lot of activity there in this spring.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Health of downtown, again, officially in Swanton Village, and how do you think Swanton's faring these days, Joel?
I think it's doing very well. It's
Yeah.
great to drive by in the evening and see many, if not most, of the parking areas full.
Yeah.
The Green Mountain Bistro, obviously,
Sounds
has
like
has
they've
been doing
done pretty
very,
well.
very well. We have the bakery, so it seems to be doing quite well. It's great to see. For years, it was very quiet down there,
Yeah.
and there's a lot more going on.
Brian, you have the same sense?
Right, and oftentimes in the middle of the afternoon, it's sometimes difficult to find a parking
Really?
space, which is not something that we've had that problem. That's a good problem to have.
And Scamper's Divine Treasure, or this.
Right, they're,
Getting traffic, it's-
obviously they're getting a lot of traffic there, so. And so I think it's, certainly very much more upbeat than it has been in a lot of years.
Yeah.
So it's nice, it's a nice blend, and we're looking forward, hopefully it'll continue, and I'm sure it will.
Yeah, and speaking of traffic, I gotta think Canadian traffic clearly down. Is that something you kind of noticed from just fewer Quebec license plates, or not so much still?
I haven't noticed it so much from checking license plates, but a few different events I've attended and talked with folks, the traffic is definitely down.
Yeah, I mean, I see stats once in a while, it just sounds like it's significantly down. Just, I listen to CJD pretty much every day here and there, just, it's still a great radio station out of Montreal, and boy, just sometimes those folks, and they usually make the point, hey, we love the folks in the US, we're just bitter at the government and the tariff issue and all, but it sounds like that's been a big issue.
It certainly has, and we'll circle back to the horse and the cold weather. Over the years, we've become friends with quite a few folks
Yeah.
that live in Canada that come down here to ride their horses and stuff.
Oh, is that
And-
right?
And we have a lot of discussion with them about what's going on with the border and
Yeah.
how they feel about what's taking place, and it certainly echoes what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's really too bad. My son last night went up to the hockey game,
Right, really?
and the interstate now is all the way to the border.
Boy,
You can get
it's
all the
pretty
way to the
much all
border
the
now.
way now.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this past fall, my wife and I went for a week's vacation in Maine, and then at the hotel, there was a Canadian couple there, and they summed it up best. They still enjoy coming down.
Yeah.
They were from Sherbrooke. They like to be by the sea, and they still enjoy coming down, so they don't pay attention to the politicians on either side of the border, just let them go at it, and she says the people here are all the same, and we like
Yeah.
it, and we're going to go with that, so.
That's right. I do pay attention to Quebec, some attention courtesy mostly of CJAD, and there's a Quebec provincial election coming up next fall, and it sounds like the current premier, Francois Legault, and the CAQ, I don't even know what CAQ stands for, but sounds like they've become very unpopular. And guess who's coming back to life here? The PQ, Parti Québécois.
Oh, really?
And I guess they talk about, hey, if we get back in, we'll do another referendum. But again, mostly CJD seems to have pretty solid people. It just seems like there's nowhere close to majority support, but always that issue just never ever totally goes away.
No.
Been around for decades.
Yeah, and in fact, I guess the 30th anniversary of, the biggest vote in, 1995, that got attention maybe a month or two ago, and incredibly close vote. I mean, maybe one, take away the island of Montreal and stuff, and they absolutely would have voted for Sovereignty Association or whatever term they were using, but it seems like it's just, the issue never goes away, but it just seems like it's not as big an issue as it used to be, but anyway, but no, that's great, yeah, getting to Montreal is pretty easy drive these days.
Yes.
Yeah, it's, I haven't been up since it's been completed, but I know it's the times that I have been up when it was completed from, think of the name of the town, but it was, very easy.
Yeah, pretty easy to get up there. I think there was some hope at least that when that did get completed, truck traffic might go down a little bit. Is there such a hope, or you're not?
Well, there's a hope.
There's
but,
a hope,
What
but
the
I haven't
reality
seen
is,
it.
and haven't had the discussions with the right parties, is can the facility handle the increased truck traffic? And that's the piece I don't know, but certainly I would think it'd be a lot easier for the truckers now to just come right down 35 and cross the border, but
Instead of just going down into New York and then coming
coming
across.
across.
Yeah, I think it's, not doing the trip enough. I think maybe, I do know that, the last time I went to Montreal was on a Friday afternoon, picked my wife up at the airport, and.
Boy, you're braver. I get airport assignments periodically, and I tell you, there's
Well-
nothing worse in my life than when I'm told I gotta get up to Pierre Trudeau.
Yeah.
Just, I usually get to Champlain Bridge in an hour,
Yeah.
and then slug your way out
Well,
on the
that's
20.
exactly what it was, because
What a nightmare.
on the way up, when she left for her trip to see
Yeah.
her sister, I took her up, it was 4 AM.
Wow, did
on a
okay at 4
Saturday,
AM.
so that
right?
was fine. I go up I'm going up
Yeah.
on a Friday afternoon,
Yeah.
and the Canadian customs officer, she said, well, she says, you're not gonna make very good time this afternoon. I said, that's why I'm leaving so early. And yeah, it was from the Champlain Bridge
Yeah.
to, was just, but I did find the Montreal drivers far more courteous than I ever imagined.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and,
Yeah, because there are a couple places here, you lose a lane or two, you
Yeah.
get it's
Yeah.
Route 20, the 20, and I love it, telling my friends, hey, let me do the CJD every, 15-minute traffic reports,
Right.
I don't even have to hear them, you can count on the 20 getting in there.
and, but, I slugged through, and then on the way back, we slugged through back.
Yeah.
So I don't know, if truckers use that same route to get from the west end over,
Yeah.
I don't know, because my wife she has relatives in that area, and she's Canadian by
Oh, yeah.
birth.
Huh.
But they would go up, they grew up in the west end of Montreal, and they would always go through Champlain. So I don't know. As I said, I don't do a trip enough to make it, but I go enough, thank heavens for GPS. Even though it told me on the way back to get off at the next exit at Atwater, and I said, oh, I'm not getting off at Atwater.
Told you to get off at Atwater?
Atwater, take next exit Atwater. I was like,
suspect you did
no,
not
I'm
have
not.
You did not have a Montreal Canadiens game in your plan at that point, that's my memory of going up to Canadiens game,
Yeah.
getting off at Atwater.
Oh, yeah, right up to the farm.
But I was like, we're not taking Atwater. I don't know why the GPS did that, but.
Do you catch any Canadiens games yourself? Boy, I've been just at the Bell Center, one regular game and one old-timers game. I love the old Forum.
Yes,
I miss
well,
the Forum.
I guess I gotta admit on air, I'm a Bruins fan, and
Yeah,
my son's a
as
Canadiens
am
fan,
I.
so it makes a
As
makes
am
a
I,
good
yeah.
rival, but I've been up to the new Bell Center once, and
Yeah.
very nice,
Yeah.
but that was a few years ago.
Of course, my good friend, the Nighthawks, hopes to have baseball returning to Montreal. They tell him he's dreaming, but he still has that hope, but that just doesn't seem likely.
Well,
Anyway, yeah, we still miss the Expos.
Oh, yeah, that was great going up for a ball game up there.
My in-laws who were up there, they have their thoughts on that as well.
Yeah,
That,
would they like to see baseball come back?
They
or-
would like it, but they said that the fans never would support it because Montreal only supports a winning team.
Yeah, at the end, things kind of fell apart, but I think it was looking like they might not hang around, but,
Yeah.
I mean, with good teams, they did very well. I can remember just having to just get up in the upper deck with 30,000 plus fans.
No,
but-
it was, I'd like to see it come back,
Yeah.
but, I'm not sure.
Yeah, unfortunately, my good friend, the Nighthawk, transferred his loyalty to the Washington Nationals, where the Expos moved to, and they picked off one World Series a while back, but now about the worst team in baseball, so not a good team. Affordability issues, I mean, that seems to be the big word you hear these days. With Republicans, Brian picking up some good ground in the legislature in the last election, just kind of hammering that issue, but boy, I mean, I guess my question is, can you picture, and if you can, you're a better person than me, Vermont becoming more affordable? I get the way I think about it, hey, try to make it less unaffordable, but Joel, you're a veteran select board guy, can you picture things getting more affordable in Vermont with, what's going on nationally, and even you guys try to keep a budget no more than a 3% increase, but it's still, you're not gonna be reducing it certainly.
No, and I guess the or the quick answer is no, I don't see it getting any more affordable. And, I mean, the news right now, and I am hoping in Montpelier, they really pay attention and do something about it, a 12% increase in
Right, the
school
latest news on the
taxes.
education.
Yeah, that is unsustainable, and our residents don't need it. I mean, we have got to get that number down to something.
Yeah.
Well, the governor, I think, has said he wants to get to 3%, and that certainly is much more manageable. But, you know, if it's 10% this year and it's 6% next year and stuff, that is, when you look at your tax bill, you know, it's 70+% is just the education tax. That's a huge increase. And, no, it's tough. Only one of the 5 kids that we have is still in Vermont.
Is that right? 1 out of 5?
1 out of 5.
Wow.
And when, you know, they keep talking about their tax bill, you know, I hear it every year, and rightfully so. It is a huge chunk. The others are out serving right now, so whether they
Oh, is
come
that
back
right?
to the state or
Oh,
not,
good
but
for them.
affordability will be part, I'm sure, of their decision. 'Cause
No, it sounds like and it's not like it's just Vermont. I happened to read online a Boston Globe story this morning. I was reading a sports story, then they have like 10 other stories at the end of that story. And I punched that up, and it was one of them, this is a Boston Globe Suffolk University poll, and they, maybe 1,000 people they interviewed, 1 out of 3 said they were looking to move out of state, again, just because of the cost situation. Hey, we like Massachusetts, a lot of good stuff here, but, you know, we can't afford it, so. Not like it's just, but it's a huge issue in Vermont.
It's a huge issue, and, you know, I mentioned the education tax, but
Yeah.
just the price of housing, whether you are renting or purchasing, and then you add that increase to it, it's unsustainable.
Right,
And
it is.
the problem with Vermont is, what do we have for other sources of income
Yeah.
to offset this, you
Yeah.
know? And then Representative Walker was talking to us after another meeting of the whole school population, how it's gonna decrease over the next decade.
So it keeps
And-
decreasing, and costs and
Keep going up.
education costs keep going up.
Yeah, so how do you consolidate and
Yeah.
get those costs down? Because it's, price per year for tuition per Vermont student is huge.
Yeah.
I had no idea it was as much as the number he threw out, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, that's college type stuff we're talking
Well,
about.
kudos to Rep. Walker, managed to pick up a committee chairmanship,
did,
Transportation
yeah.
Committee.
Yeah,
I said the Republicans feared, after they feared better in the election, and I guess we have a few vice chairs in the delegation as well.
Yeah, he's, because he's in my old seat, and I was on
Right.
transportation.
Right,
But
right.
being chair of a committee is tough.
That's
It's
some,
tough
that's some work,
Yeah,
a lot of
especially a
work, I'm
large
sure.
committee such as transportation.
Yeah,
But he's hopefully optimistic that maybe there be some more federal money flowing to the state for transportation.
yeah.
That's the feeling out of Washington. So we'll see.
And Brian, you're the former legislator, but as Joel just touched on, just more sources of revenue. I mean, I gotta think, everybody's looked at anything they could possibly find. I never, is there, you see any,
Well, no,
and of course, some folks I talk to typically Franklin County is all Republican legislators now.
Yeah.
13, and when I talk to those folks, typically, hey, Richard, it's not a revenue, we have plenty of revenue, it's a spending issue, but.
Right, it is more a spending issue.
Yeah.
And I had this discussion with former Speaker Shap Smith when he was Speaker, and I was
Oh,
on
yeah,
the
Shap.
floor when we talked about consolidating the school districts.
Yeah,
And I said, we're starting at the wrong end.
Huh.
We need to consolidate the supervisory unions. And so he thought this was the better way to go. I don't think it was. And you know, the 5 supervisory unions may be a little bit too big. You know, I wasn't really in favor of that. I think 1 per county.
what have we got now? We got like 50,
50 or 60,
yeah,
you know.
in 119 school districts, I
Right,
think.
and so just take 1 per county, so it's like take Franklin County, and then a small county like Grand Isle, you take northern Grand Isle, comes with Franklin County, southern
Yeah.
Grand Isle goes with Chittenden County, and do that throughout the state. And it works in other states based on the counties, and, because there's a tremendous amount of overhead in those supervisory unions.
Boy, Act 73 sure seems like it's off to a tough start, of course, with the district redistricting committee supposedly coming back with, 3 plans, and then ran into enough opposition. Well, maybe there'll be some voluntary mergers or whatever, but boy, it sounds like obviously a huge issue yet again before the legislature.
Yeah, they kick it around, that and healthcare, don't get me
And
started on that,
Please.
but that's another mess. Again, it's more of a spending problem, and I think Vermont has I noticed when I was in the legislature, well, this is a problem, if test scores aren't good, well, throw more money at it, more money at it, never approach what the real problem is. It's easy to throw more money at it, but
Yeah.
as you get to a point where, you just not sustainable.
Yeah, I'm going back a bunch of years, but when I first, I would pay some attention to numbers. When I first heard the B word for the Vermont state budget at $1 billion, I said, no, it can't be. Now, we're talking, 9.1?
9.1.
And what, about a third of that is healthcare, I think?
Yeah.
Well, those are numbers that are just kind of mind-blowing to me.
It certainly is, and I personally think that the Green Mountain Care Board is a failure and
Yeah.
should be just disbanded and done away with, go back and come up with a different scheme. And part of that is, again, my own personal opinion, is that this is what happens. You only have 2 insurance carriers in the state.
Boy, yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
And we're still have, about 14 hospitals or so? I mean,
Right.
certainly here occasionally. I get the Chronicle, still a very good paper for Orleans County. And when the consultant too, I guess the Green Mountain Care Board came out with just some recommendations about North Country Hospital, saying, hey, you just can't do, it's just not worth keeping you here. I mean, they were gonna do something, but you can imagine the outcry,
Well,
obviously, in
and-
the
right.
Newport area. I haven't heard stuff like that about Northwestern Medical Center, but gee, probably reason to be concerned about any of your local hospitals.
Right, I think it's, because to them, they're sitting there and, it's easy to say the cuts, if they don't live in the area, what do
Yeah.
they care? So
Yeah.
I just, they gotta be very cautious with that, and that's why I say that, when I was down there, we had some of the highest insurance rates in the country,
Yeah.
which was no secret, but our provider costs were also some of the lowest. Well, now, we've got the highest in both, providers and insurance. That was released a few months ago. Well, wait a minute here, what happened, and who's in charge? So
Yeah.
to me, they failed. So they need to come up with something different.
Well, I think Swanton has a pretty good presence of Notch. I think Notch probably is pretty helpful for the Swanton area with the clinics they have, Joel.
Pretty much, that parking lot seems to be quite
Yeah.
full and provides a good service to the residents. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Boy, a lot of it. So we touched on, down to 2 minutes, touched on housing. Any housing initiatives going on in the town at this point, or?
There's private work being done
Yeah.
from a select board perspective and town perspective.
Yeah.
All we're trying to do is make it as easy as possible from the permit, and the recent change to the zoning bylaws incorporated some of the stuff at the state level and so on to make it so it can, more housing can be constructed easier than it was before.
Yeah.
So support from that end. We really aren't staffed and have the ability to do very much, but we certainly, where we can, want to promote and get more housing. Absolutely.
Of course, in the town, without municipal sewer and stuff, if you're dealing with septic, you're probably not talking any real big projects, or not necessary.
You can still have a fair amount of development. You're just gonna need more land
Yeah.
to accommodate the septic system and so on. And then we do have some areas of the town where the village, water, and in some cases, water and the sewer extend into
Gets
the
into
town,
the
so,
town, yeah.
yeah. So there's some potential development areas, and we know that there are some developers that are working to put some more housing in.
And this is on my agenda, and I forgot to mention, down to 30-second, National Guard having a future presence around exit 20, is that still looking like that will happen at some point?
Yes, I had a conversation
Sorry
with the
to ask you
National,
so late about that.
I had a conversation about a week ago, and it's still being worked. They've got to get through the design phase, but they do have the land. Now they got to get the design phase, and then they get to get the dollars. It's a very large amount of money they're looking for, and so it's being worked at the national level.
So some years, a few years away for sure, or?
Yeah, I would estimate about 8 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That much?
just the realities of the design and getting the funding and getting it started, but it'd be a great boost, getting St. Albans and the Swanton Armories consolidated into a new facility.
On that note, we'll call it a day. Thanks to
Okay.
Joel Clark, the Swanton Select Board Chairman, Brian Savage, the Swanton Town Administrator. Thanks for your
Okay.
time, folks.
You're welcome.
Thanks to
Thank
my
you.
producer, Alan Cunningham, the key guy around here. I'm Richard Cowperthwait. See you next time on Northwest Access TV. See ya.